Hello everyone, Bashar here. We have the third part of our chaos dust and chaos powder video. In the previous two videos I did explain to you how chaos dust and chaos powder work and how they are obtained, and in the previous video I did showcase you the Blizzard stage 25 Sand Devil solo to obtain chaos powder, and now we are here for the chaos dust. This is my stage 25 Phantom Shogun's Grove team. It's a 100% team, and if you know the budget team, the famous budget team, this is an improved version of it. It's still free to play, right? Because Drextar can be obtained from Tag Team Arena over a course of 100 days, and Mitra can be obtained from Hydra chest. And you could say that those are free to play, but they are not really easy to obtain. But the thing is, the gear that's required to build this team is also not very easy to obtain. So I think it's a fair team, right? There is the real budget version of this team features generally a second Cold Heart instead of a Drextar, and Reliquary Tender or Gator instead of the Mitrala. But Mitrala is of course better in she can also deal damage, which makes the rounds faster, and your chance of failing goes lower. And HP burn does very decent damage, so Drextar can be used as well. So let's take a look at the core of the team. I will explain to you the team, and then we can do a run and see how it goes. So Gnarlhorn is the core. So the boss must attack the character with the highest crit damage first. So I would suggest building your damager first, Cold Heart or whoever it is, and then you build your Gnarlhorn according to that, right? So my Cold Heart has something like 220 crit damage here. It's a bit low, but it's enough for our purposes. 220-ish, 216. How much is this? 216 crit damage, in lethal, 252 speed, right? Then our Gnarlhorn has to have higher crit damage and 184 speed, could be 185. The speeds are very narrow. Be careful with that, and you have to have more crit damage, and you have to have as much survivability as you can. But after the first hit, it doesn't even matter. If you survive the first hit, it's fine. So you have to survive the crit from coming the guy, right? And we have Paragon. Paragon is going to operate on 176 speed, which is exactly just about below half of the speed of the boss. You don't need accuracy, you don't need resistance. You need to make the Cold Heart and the Paragon, survivable to a degree, because the boss can override his rules if there is a very easy target out there, just attacks and one-shots you. So, they shouldn't be like, 20,000 HP, 1k defense, right? They should be a little tougher. And we give Toxic Set to Paragon so he can deal damage. As you know, that the Toxic Set does not require any accuracy, so we don't care for accuracy. I don't have any now, but Masteries on Paragon would help. Masteries on Gnarlhorn could help. And you shouldn't be getting any turn meter based masteries. I am just showing this to you because Gnarlhorn is incapable of putting any debuffs on the boss, right? So this actually would be your doom if you have it on, Paragon or Cold Heart, or anyone other than Gnarlhorn with this mastery, and you will die, right? Because of the turn meter thingy. So this does not work. I have gotten it for other places. These are not a must, but welcome. Cold Heart would rather prefer her masteries done, so she can do more damage. Drexar, I do have the masteries, and the Giant Slayer helps in speeding up the run. These are definitely very, very useful. Increased duration and increased chance of debuff application. And as you can see, I don't have anything that's turn meter based. And finally we have Mitrala. In Mitrala it's very important to not get Cycle of Magic or you will die every once and then, right? Because she has to cleanse at exactly the right time. So this is what I've been able to come up with on her, right? So, I mean, it doesn't let go of the lasting gifts, but it also lets go of Cycle of Magic because, you know, she does shield, she does strengthen, she does increase attack, she increases defense. Not in this fight, but they are nice and useful buffs, so I do like the buff duration extension. And so these are very mild, right? I mean, you do your Cold Art is in a damaging way, not extremely squishy, 252 speed, Gnarlhorn 184 speed, tough and higher crit damage than Cold Heart. Doesn't matter how much higher it is. It could be higher by 1 even. Paragon 184 speed in Toxic Set, no recon. So these are very easy, right? So this looks like a very mild build, right? So problem is the mild build stops here. Now we need the real stuff. So Drextar is going to be 245 speed and we kind of need around 600 accuracy here. And as you can see here, I'm just slightly below 600 here. That's about it. If you can have a Smite Blessing, it's going to be useful. I do have, you know, Soul Rip. I couldn't change it. It requires 300 gems. I just kept it. It can save me a few seconds at the end. Mitrala is the real deal. She needs 284, 285 speed. Yeah, I did get it right. And she needs 600 accuracy. So this is not. So this is the real challenge. This is the real challenge to pull it off, and that's why I think, you know, it is an improved version of the real basic one. I mean, you just have Reliquary Tender here, you don't care about accuracy, you just cleanse debuffs, but then your killing will take ages. And so you might think, you know, why Drextar, right? I could use Mordecai, I could use Ninja, I could use Chronam, I could use whoever it is that does HP burns, right? Let's take a look here. Debuffs, HP burn, right? There has to be tons of champions that are better than Drextar, right? Well, you would be right and wrong, right? First of all, Drextar, as you know, is not, you know, an extremely good champion. He is useful at times because of his passive ability to apply HP burns, but he is not also very core, so you can sacrifice him for the purpose of this, right? Because 600 accuracy is a lot, guys. The character will be gimped everywhere else, right? I could have made him much faster, I could have made him much tougher, but no, I have to go for the 600 accuracy. That means he will be gimped everywhere else. The passive also does not work because the boss blocks the passives on turn 1 and refreshes it often. So why Drextar and why not Mordecai, for example? Why not Geo? Thing is, guys, the boss is crazy. The boss is on 350 speed on stage 25, which means your 3-4 turn cooldown skills, you know, it will take you ages to refresh them, right? So, I mean, take Mordecai, right? So how much is it now? His ability is on a 4 turn cooldown. You put up the HP burn, right? 2 turns, and if you get the mastery proc 3 turns, I mean, it will wear off long before it's gone. At least, you know, Drextar is able to spam it, right? I mean, you just keep trying for it. With the mastery, it goes up to 35%. I know it does look bad, but he does decent damage, right? So you can't do Artak, you can't do Ninja, you can't do Chronam. Why? Because these guys all gain turn meter or speed one way or the other, right? And the tune is so very narrow, and I know this feels weird, but if you do that, your Paragon will not be able to protect your Gnarlhorn. So yeah, this does blow your mind, right? So weird. I mean, Ninja gains turn meter, and you know, you could think like, okay, Ninja plays earlier than he should, and he could die, right? Nope. Ninja playing earlier makes the Gnarlhorn die. So this is a little bit complicated, but I will try to, you know, simplify it. So the turn meter stuff acts as a whole, including the boss, right? Including the enemy, right? It's a whole thing, right? You make some guy slower, and the other guy can be playing faster, right? Or the other guy can be playing slower, right? it is a little too complicated to measure. So, because the boss is so much faster than you, he gains much more turn meter than you per unit time, right? And that ninja gaining turn meter and taking a turn earlier will maybe make the boss gain the turn before Paragon, and Paragon will not be able to protect Nullhorn. So, by the way, how do we do that Paragon Nullhorn thing? If you make someone the leader, Paragon is going to cast his unkillable on them. So Paragon is the leader here. Do not think of making Mitrala the leader for the 80 accuracy, all right? That's not going to work. Nullhorn is the leader, and the good thing about him is he does have a working aura, 21% or something, or 27% dungeon defense, which is I think pretty nice for a rare. So let's go back to the original build. So Nullhorn 184 speed, tanky, nothing else. Paragon 176 speed, toxic set, crit rate, increased debuff duration, increased debuff application chance, masteries are all welcome if possible. If not, it's fine. Cold Heart, high crit damage, 70% crit rate, 252 speed, no accuracy is required whatsoever. Direct Star 245 speed, 600-ish accuracy. Smite is welcome but not required. Damaging masteries are also welcome. And Mitrala 285 speed ish. Smite is very welcome on her. I will buy the 3-star whenever I can. 600-ish accuracy. Let's take a look at our setup now. Let's go there. Shogun 25. I did try this for you guys. Didn't turn out very well. Okay, so because I'm not able to provoke or decrease attack or whatever, I just turn this off, right? Mitrala, we start with the A1, so the cleanse is due when it's happening. The A2 is off at all times. A2 is off, we do A, but you can even keep the A2 on. It's not gonna matter too much. Paragon has priority on his A2 and he's booked, as you can imagine, and Nullhorn everything is off because Paragon is going to keep him unkillable, so we don't need this. So guys, Nullhorn is a machine that keeps the shade counter in check, right? Because he's incapable of weak hitting, the only champion in the game, by the way, so I'm a big fan. He just 3, -3, -3. Every time he takes a turn, it's a -3 shade counter, right? And if you have the counter attack masteries, if you counter attacks, that's going to be even more. And as you can see, other than my Cold Heart, my number of stars is not very impressive, and it is fully under control. It never grows. But if you have neglected it way too much, then it could be a little bit dangerous, because every time the guy crits, it goes up by 5. You are not capable of inflicting weak hits because he will keep his attention on Nullhorn at all times. The only time other than that he gains shade counter will be when you remove the enfeeblement debuff from everyone. That's gonna be another +8, so it will go up to 13 or so. So you have to be careful, right? It should never be reaching 20. So at 10 he starts ignoring poison damage. At 20 he starts ignoring smite damage and HP burn damage, and at 30 he starts max HP based nuking damage. At that point you will just die, right? So it should always be low, right? And that's about it. We don't have anything else. So let me just show you. Break a leg. And the duration I think is pretty fine. So we just have to survive this hit. Nothing else. And he will be doing 0 damage from now on. I mean, he will be doing damage, but he won't be dying. So the important thing is, guys, after he spreads the debuff, you either have to take the turn on Mitrala, or if you are not able to take the turn on Mitrala, Nullhorn has to, because the debuff forces you to inflict weak hits at all times, which will jump the shade counter very much, right? And that is what this tune is about, and that is why the least bit of change fails the team, right? So you shouldn't be having turn meter gain based masteries on anyone. You shouldn't be having cooldown reduction masteries on the combo parts, which I will explain. I mean, the damagers can have cooldown reduction. We don't care about that. But Gnarlhorn, Paragon, and Mithrala cannot have any sort of cooldown reduction. And as you can see, it is remaining fully under control. And there is a variance to the duration, as you can probably guess, right? But see, it's always low. So mine is very safe, as you see. It can be a little bit lower in the number of stars that you have, but not too much. So this was, I would say, below average run for me. I generally handle it about 122. And take a look at damage, guys. I mean, cleanser and top damage. So this, of course, varies if your poisons get resisted, if you apply the smite or not, right? If Drexstar gets the last hit with his soul reap, blah 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 blah, right? So let's go over it again. I will remind you that the speed ranges are very narrow, so you have to be careful with that, right? Do try to match what I have if you can. So the combo parts are Paragon, Gnarlhorn. Well, actually, the combo parts are Paragon and Mithrala. Gnarlhorn is not a combo part because Gnarlhorn just blindly does A1. So turn meter gain on everyone is strictly forbidden. You have to check out your blessings. I mean, let's take a look here. See, this will make your team fail, for example, right? You cannot have this blessing on Gnarlhorn, right? It's not allowed. And any sort of let me add the phrase working turn meter gain masteries, because this does not work, so it doesn't disrupt the team, but it would disrupt the team on anyone else, right? So turn meter, basically turn meter gain masteries. Any sort of turn meter gain is forbidden. Artifacts, accessories, even though it's not possible. Masteries, blessings, all forbidden. Cooldown reduction is allowed on the damagers, the Drexstar and the Cold Heart, but not Mithrala and Paragon, because you cast your unkillable early, you'll die, right? You cleanse early, you'll die. You don't want so cycle of magic is definitely not allowed. Right? Gnarlhorn just doesn't care, he just spams A1, so he can have cooldown reduction but not mastery. So I will get back to this. So can you improve this, right? Can you have a better HP burner? So because of the situation I mentioned to you, the boss being extremely fast, HP burners with a cooldown will not fit, right? So Timizia, Geo, Mordecai, they will all look good, but they will not work. So because your speed is also set, right? You have to be on 250 speed, which will mean you will play at a 7-to-5 ratio. And guys, imagine you are the 5 and the enemy is the 7, and you have a 3-turn cooldown or 4-turn cooldown on a 2-turn debuff, right? It will not always be up. So Drexstar keeps hitting, at least you have a chance to be up at all times. So who would be better? Someone with HP burn on their A1 would be better, right? Like Michi. But thing is, guys, Michi is a very good champion, one of the best Hydra champions in the game, and I would never ever use my Michi here, right? Because I don't want to give 600 accuracy to my Michi, so I will just accept Drexstar. And from the champions here, no one should be used, right? Because these are mostly decent champions and on a cooldown, right? No one with with an HP burn on there. Yeah, there is Brogni. I wouldn't use Brogni either, but he could be used, right? And so, guys, who would be better? I don't have her. You can guess maybe Eleanor would be quite better. because let's go take a look at Elenaril. So Elenaril has actually an irresistible HP burn. So you get rid of the burden of giving your 600 accuracy, which is extremely good, right? Very nice damage. And also she has the poison explosion, which also doesn't require accuracy, which will help exploding in Mitrala's poisons and poisons from Paragon's toxic set. So she's great, right? She's great. And the HP burn will be up at all times. There is no percentage here, as you can see. It's guaranteed. So the problem would be this one, right? So you can put up 2 poisons with her, right? But this would require you to have 600 accuracy out of nowhere, right? Because the A1 and A3 work without any accuracy, but this one requires accuracy. So this is a decision you'll have to make. So you can have either 0 accuracy and put up some crit damage and nuke the boss, or you can put the 600 accuracy and do the poisons. I will remind you one thing though. Even if the shade counter is low, the boss has 90% reduced damage from poisons. Right? That's why the HP burn is much better. Right? So the poisons do damage, but they do 90% reduced damage. And if the shade counter reaches 10, he becomes absolutely immune. Right? So you have to keep it under control. So what I would suggest if I had Elenaril, 0 accuracy, crit chance, crit damage, as long as it doesn't exceed null horns, right? And just do these, right? A3 on cooldown and A1. And I would say it will work unbooked, right? Because the HP burn is irresistible no matter what. You are going to lose some damage here. You are going to lose some cooldown there. But I don't think, it's worth, wasting like 10 books on her. So she would be a better damager. Michinaki would be a better damager. Brogni would be a better damager. But as I said, I wouldn't sacrifice those champions. So Elenaril is perfectly sacrificable, I would say. She's not a very good champion unless you use some sort of, Calvadox, Theodore, trash clearing build for dungeons instead of Seer. I would just use her here without books, and she would be excellent. I would say, so mine is around 120, 1 minute 20 seconds or so. Elenaril would probably shave like, depending on your masteries and whatnot, probably shave like 15 to 20 seconds from your runs. So if you have another A1, HP burn champion, that could also replace it. But HP burn champions with cooldowns will not be able to measure on par with Drexstar. As I said, the masteries help, the crit rate helps, as long as you keep in mind that Narhorn should always have the highest crit rate and your champion should not be extremely squishy, right? I mean, you build your Elenaril, 20,000 HP, 800 defense, the guy shoots her and bang, you are screwed, right? You have to be careful with that. Everyone has to have some semblance of survivability, so the target never changes. As you just saw in the run, no one takes a hit. He only goes for Nullhorn over and over. And so you might be wondering, how does he always obey the unkillable, right? Because you might have seen him kill entire groups. So he starts ignoring that stuff at like 40 shade counter or so. So stuff has to go really wrong before he starts doing that. And with that team, we keep it fully under control. So that's why it never happens. So he has an ability to ignore those. We just keep him under control. And you saw my number of stars. Nothing is, too fancy. 3-star on Nullhorn, 2-star on Paragon, 2-star on Mitrala, 1-star on Drexstar. This one is high. But of course, you should try to have one high blessing called out on your account. She's a very good champion used in a lot of places. But I would say, I could lose 1-star overall on everyone and it would still work, right? Maybe if you have, much, much lower, then it could go a little bad. And I would definitely suggest the Smite on Mitrala. Does a lot of damage. As you just saw in the run that we did together, she was the top damage. as I said, I am planning on buying her 3rd star, so the smite application chance goes up. And thing is, guys, another thing is the smite is getting a bite per hit, and Mitrala's A1 is a 2-hitter, so my smite application chance will actually exceed 50% if I get the 3-star version of it, because of the double hits, or it would be almost at 50%. That's about it. So this is the conclusion of our Chaos Dust, Chaos Powder trilogy. What do they do, where to obtain them, and the teams that can be used to obtain the resources. And I will see you in another video. Goodbye, guys. See you on stream.